Welcome to the Elevated Hope Project, where hope rises, lives are transformed, and second chances become new beginnings. Powered by Elevated Education in our schools, East Point High School, Accelerated Learning Center, and Elevated Academy. This podcast shines a light on the resilience, courage, and potential within every student story. Today we highlight the journey of DOC Ivory, a Navy veteran whose path from soldier to entrepreneur is nothing short of remarkable. His story reflects strength, hope, and the impact of perseverance and community support. Let's dive in. Doc, again, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to hear your story. I know that you and Chris have gotten to know each other a little bit in the past, and I know of you, but I don't know about you and your story. So I'm super excited to hear it. All right. And then before we get started, I do have a couple gifts for you.
Awesome.
First one is a Elevated Academy hoodie. Everybody can use a free hoodie.
Chris is showing you what it looks like when you wear it.
He's modeling it today.
I'll look much better in it than I will.
Yeah. And then the other thing is a challenge coin. And I thought, we haven't given this to a guest before. But I thought it would be fitting for you, given your military service. And the intent is to give this to our graduates because most of them have overcome just insurmountable obstacles in their life. And it's branded with the East Point High School branding, but on the back it says, "You did the work. You earned this. Go change the world." It's affirming the work that they put in and giving them a charge to go out there and change the world. And just from the little bit I know about your story, it sounds like that's what you're striving for too, is to make this world a better place by being a father and being a positive influence and role model in lives of youth all over the place. So I'm going to hand these to you for you to take.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you recognize that as a challenge coin, like right off the bat.
As soon as you held it up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely.
Yeah.
I have a place for this.
Good. Cool.
I have a few of them, so I have a place.
Yeah, I bet you do.
To be honest.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm honored.
Well, let's start just kind of early in your life. Like, where did you grow up? What was your family dynamic? What was your upbringing like?
I grew up in Chicago, mid-'80s. Up until I was 3, I guess my family dynamic was normal. I cannot tell you much before 3. I can't tell you much, honestly, outside of detailed kind of scenarios. I have a, what do you call it? Like a DCFS file, like a foster care file that's the size of a Bible. But when I was 3, my dad's mistress used to put cigarette butts out on me. It used to, sexually assault my older brother, and it was just a bad situation. And we all went into foster care. Went to various family members. My older brothers were a lot older than me. The closest brother to me was 5 years. So really, their world was a lot different than mine, especially when we got into the system. And then my older brothers, you know what happened. You guys know exactly what happens with 5 boys between 3 and 12 or 13, you know what I mean? In the streets of Chicago. And I guess he would be the middle, second, third to oldest. Brother passed away when he was 17. So that's kind of what it was. I played sports. I called myself the kind of brother that wanted different. When we first moved here, I think it was 1996. I don't know, I was 6th or 7th grade or something like that, 5th grade, 6th grade. And literally the first day we were here, there was a green belt on the back side of the fence of my aunt's house. And there was just a kid walking. I can't remember his last name. It started with an M, but his name was Corey. And we went to school together. I was in grade school, I think, like I said, 5th or 6th grade. He was actually in my class, but I had never stepped foot in Arizona. And my brothers were big on just, you either go get them or we get you type of situation. And I'll never forget, we were sitting on the wall and he's just walking, minding his business. And my brothers were like, "You need to go and fight him." And it was like, "Or we fight you." And I did it. And the next day in class, the teacher was ready for me to walk into class. That was my first impression at that school in Arizona as a kid, was Shelly Hartman dragging me out of class, like almost by my ear. And I'll just never forget the embarrassment. I'll never forget the embarrassment. I was like, this is not my style. You know what I mean?
You didn't want to live that way.
Just people like you better when you can run fast and jump high, and you're trying to score layups. You know what I mean? It was just a better perception. It felt better. There was so much pain in my family, and it doesn't mean I didn't get into fights and stuff after that. Like, I was still a foster kid. You know what I mean? Going through a lot, but I just always knew. Like, I saw the jail, I saw the murder, I saw all of that stuff, and I just was like, maybe, if there is something different, I want to taste it, I want to see it. And so went into high school. Like I said, played sports, football, basketball, and track. I wouldn't say I was a coward, but I was a scared kid. Like, my brothers were in prison, so my brothers went to jail for robbing a bank. I think it was when I was in 8th grade or freshman year. It was right when I was going into high school, because I felt alone, because I didn't have anybody to back me up. You know what I mean? So I was a scared high schooler. Not in a way that I was scary, but I was worried about my support system. I was willing to fight. I was willing to do all of these things. And, as a freshman, you do need older brothers, or a senior. You need backup, And so I clicked up with friends and things like that. And it wasn't that it was gang related, but it was protection related, like strength and numbers type of situation. And, just a bunch of ups and downs. I tore my ACL my senior year, you know what I mean? So I was a ward of the state of Chicago. So it was like I had to get my surgery in Chicago. It wasn't like they were going to pay for it here. So I'm flying back and forth my senior year. I missed a lot of my senior year because of that. Graduated, tried to walk on to, I think it was GCC and PC, it was a wash, you know what I mean? And the choice was kind of what career I wanted. So I chose fire science. I wanted to be a firefighter. Phoenix College has this fire science course that's, pretty good. And
I've done it.
You can pass the test, you got to get a B on the test. I missed it by 2 questions 3 times. The day that I missed it, the 3rd time, I went to the recruiter's office, and I'll never forget it. Me and my friend Trey, we walked into the Marine Corps office, and the first thing he said is, "Are you ready to kill?" Like, this is 2004, mind you. So we're like it, but also, mind you, I'm completely oblivious to this. Like, I understand 9/11 and I understood Iraq, but I did not understand. It was so far from me. Like, that wasn't me. Going to the Navy and going to Iraq was not synonymous in my world. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. And so the first thing he said was, "Are you ready to kill?" And me and Trey both looked at each other like, dude, what the hell? like, no. And so we walked out, and Trey was like, "I'm cool. I'm going home." And Trey went home. And I went to the Navy recruiter's office. And I'll never forget it. I said I wanted to be a nurse or a firefighter or something in medicine. And he's like, "Okay, it sounds good. Like, you want to be a corpsman?" I was like, "All right, bet." He's like, "You'll be on ships and you'll be at this hospital and you go to ports and there's, women and alcohol. Like, it's so fun." Dude, sign me up, right? Standard 4 years, right? He's like, "Even better. It's national call of service time." Of course, that means, hey, we need a bunch of this position for the war that we're fighting. But again, I'm a 19-year-old, honestly, just a dumbass. You know what I mean? Because I don't know anything, but I think I know everything. And he's like, "So you can do the 4 years for like $2,000 as a signing bonus, or you can go national call of service where you only have to do 2 years and you can get like 6,000 or 10,000, whatever it was." It's like, who wouldn't choose less time for more money?
Right.
Little did you know, you might not come back. You know what I mean? We only need you for the 2 years. You're only going to last the 2 years type of situation, know? And I'm not saying that's what it was, but I mean, that was the deal. Like, when I got there, it was like, it was a straight shot. So it was boot camp, A school, field med school, unit. There was no other options. Like,
it was fast track.
That it was, you were going straight, you were prepared, you were a boot drop prepared for deployment. So by the time I was 20, I was already in Iraq. You know what I mean? And so
as a medic,
as a combat medic, yes.
Yeah. And that's where the name Doc comes from.
That's yes.
Okay.
I mean, you have to kind of earn it. You're a corpsman until you prove it. Right. Right. And the reason why, it's tattooed on my neck, and it's because I was the corpsman who like grabbed the saw gunner's saw, and I did our boots and utes runs with the saw. Like I wanted to, the same vigor that I took the friendships that I had in high school where we were, fighting in the locker room and throwing trash cans at people and things like that. That's what I was in the military. Like if we're gonna go, we're gonna go.
Yeah.
Like I got your back, and there's a lot of respect that was gained there, and it fueled me, man, because I had a huge chip on my shoulder. It hurt me more than it helped me with my attitude, right? Like to some people, it came off as arrogance, but really it was like I'm the only thing keeping me going, and I don't care how much you want to kick me in the nuts. It's just not. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Right. And it wasn't a lack of humility. It was a, I think more of a lack of value that I saw in myself. Mm-hmm. So everything that I built up, like I needed it. You know what I mean? Like to go. And I was good. My first deployment, I think I was great at my job. I know I was great at my job. I got meritoriously promoted twice, like, fresh out of boot camp and after my first deployment. I never had to take a test to become an NCO. My performance, I was Blue Jacket Sailor of the Year as an E3. You know what I mean? Like I didn't mess around. I wanted to be great. During my first deployment, my 2 years was up. So they gave me an option to re-enlist. I was literally already in Iraq. So like, yeah.
What are you going to do?
Like, it's not that they wouldn't have sent me home, right, but just like, what are you talking about?
Can't just leave.
Come on, right? And so I signed for another 2 years, which would have made my 4, but I had to come home and deal with home. And I'm glad that I re-enlisted, because I don't think I would have been able to handle being home if I wasn't able to go back to Camp Pendleton after my leave. And so I volunteered to go to my second deployment. I was like, just get me out of here, dude. They sent me to regiment. I wasn't with my unit. Like, get me out of here. Let's go kind of finish the job, to be honest. Like I don't think I would have minded it at that point in my life. I was a combat replacement for a corpsman that was getting out, but he was attached to second tank. So I was a Hollywood Marine. I was a Camp Pendleton. So I was stationed with second tanks, a second scout out of Camp Lejeune. And, that's kind of when it happens, though. The whole IEDs and, getting blown off, Jeff losing his arm. And, it was just a mess. And Jeff is alive, named his firstborn son after me, and my firstborn son is named after him. After Iraq, it was a search for, can I get the adrenaline? Do I want to be alive? When do I sleep? Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got out March 5th. I had a full-time job before my birthday, before March 31st, and I was in school before the end of April. Finished my bachelor's in health administration in 2013, finished my MBA in 2015, started my PhD while I was in rehab in 2016, left the country to Nicaragua in 2018, came back after getting divorced in 2022, and have been just kind of making this thing work ever since. And all of the stuff that happens in between with, leaving the country for 4 years and only coming back for 4 weeks total, just trying to raise a kid while doing that and keep a marriage that probably by all odds was, a 5% chance at best, you know what I mean? And not because she's bad, it's more so it's almost always my fault. You know what I mean? And so when I say the rock bottom part, now it's more so like the feeling like you've tried everything, but not like I've tried everything, I'm just giving up. But like, dude, you have studied, you've researched, you are literally burning the candle at all ends, and you are at zero in all capacity. It's not even about finances. It's just about you got no motion. Your train is literally stopped. When do you stop? Like, when do I stop? Like, when do I say when's enough is enough? Because honestly, if I just sat back and sat on who I am right now, a lot of people would give me grace for that and accept that and say, dude, you've done a lot. It's not enough. Like, it's not that it's not enough. Like, feeling like you're on borrowed time, like when I go meet my boys in Valhalla, like you did what we would have if we had the chance. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that I don't want to stop and like give up on this every day. It's just like I can't. And so when you say rock bottom, it's like you want to keep moving and you can't. Well, not that you can't, but you're in a dark room searching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so how many times are you going to stub your toe? How many times are you going to, like, what are you doing? Like, and so when I talk about those glimmers of light, like that's kind of what I mean. So
yeah,
said a lot to say
for sure.
That, yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot in that story. You mentioned a couple things, that I want to circle back to. You mentioned, you had a stint in rehab, twice. And what was that for, if you don't mind talking about it?
Alcohol and PTSD. So I used, when I got before Iraq, I struggled with, I didn't really know my mom. When my brother passed away in 1996, my brother passed away. She came from Detroit to go to the funeral. I don't ever remember seeing her. Now, granted, I'm not going to say she was the star of the show, but it was her son that passed away. But there was never a conversation. And now, mind you, I'm like older, you know what I mean? And I have no conscious reality with this lady. So it's not about my brother passing away. It's about like, dude, this is like, can we talk type of situation? And so I never went to the funeral and nobody knew. Like, it was weird. Like, my brother did not know I wasn't there. So that's how removed I was from just the crap that was going on in my family. You know what I mean? So the value that I had for myself was very, very small. And oftentimes I found that in relationships with other people, not necessarily sexual relationships, but judging how much you like me let me know how valuable I was. And if you did not like me, then it was me, even though it's just like some people just don't, obviously like you. Relationships with women and all that stuff, it wasn't a problem for me before the military. The why behind it and the hooks that I had in me with some of the mom issues I had was the problem. And so after the military, it was just like there wasn't anything else that could numb me. And so alcohol was easiest, but the rehab stint was always a joint program, because it's never the alcohol. It's not like I was like, oh, I like alcohol so much, it's so great. I needed to function. And so if I could deal with the PTSD, then the other stuff it's not that it doesn't matter, but who cares about the topping on the cake? What's the cake made of? You know what I mean? Right. And so
basically the alcohol was a symptom, not the cause.
100%.
Yeah.
So I did the Pathway Home program, which is in Napa Valley. That was 2011. Leaving that program, I went and climbed Mount Cotopaxi, just as like you're fresh out,
conquer the world.
Touch alcohol, it's the worst thing. I'm gonna go climb this mountain. I feel like, what I mean. And then there was that, the come crashing down thing after that, right? Because you still have to, still got to deal with it, man. You still got to have these, tough conversations. And I'll never forget, females seeing you clear your house at 3:00 in the morning and stuff. They barely know you, and these just tough conversations that have to be had because situations happen, right? Like, and so I start crashing again. And in 2015, right after I got my MBA, actually, like, it was like this huge party and celebration. And then 2016, I went to the STAR program in New Mexico at the New Mexico VA. And I saw the end of that coming the same way the end of the last one happened. I fight, physically get into a physical fist fight, and then get kicked out. And then it's like, oh, they're stupid, they can't handle me. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what happened at the STAR program without the fight. They got rid of me before I could disrupt, essentially. But while I was there, I owned it. I said, if you're not going to be in these groups and you're going to fight back on journaling and all of that stuff, then one, figure out a way. And two, how are you going to understand your mind? So I started my PhD at GCU online in psychology. And I, instead of journaling, I wrote music. And then because I'm so old, I'm not going to be a 90-year-old rapper. I've used my music into books. and it's much better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thought maybe you were going to rap for us.
No.
That would be amazing.
My birthday's coming up March 31st. And I wrote a song to my son. You know, all of my music is actually about my experience in Iraq. Not all of it, most of it. And I wrote a song for my son, actually. And for my birthday, I want to like create like a little music video montage of it with him in it and stuff like that, because it's actually one of his favorite songs. You know, just yesterday, I wanted to send something to somebody because I had this perfect meme because he's I let him sit in the front seat in his booster chair. He's 8, but he's like, I want to sit up front with you, Dad. I'm like, you know, come on, dude, you know. And he's like, Dad, can you play the song that you made for me? And it was just like, I looked over him like, you know, the meme is like Denzel Washington in Training Day when he looks over at, you know, Ethan Hawke. I was just like, this is why I made the song.
Yeah.
This is why I make the books. This is why, like, so, like, you know, it's for you. Like, I don't know. It was, like I said, it made being at rock bottom okay. You know what I mean? Like, that was like the little light, like even if nobody hears it, nobody does anything, it literally served its purpose. Makes me realize how much ego is tied into the outcome, because it's like, he's literally giving me the answer that I want. Like, I made this song for you to know how much I love you. And he's saying, I love this song because you love me, but for some reason it's not enough to me. You know what I mean? For some reason, like, I feel like it's like, there's more to it, and learning how to accept, like, that just may be it. Is a whole, I mean, we can go into that, but that's a whole, that's that part of fatherhood where I may need to be okay with not seeing the fruit from the tree that I planted, because if the tree might be that big, you know, it might, you know, produce some good fruit, but it might not be in my lifetime. It might be with my son and how I set him up and what I do for him. And that shouldn't be a struggle. That should not be a struggle for a father. But like, for me, it's like, yeah, but what about, like, I could just take this shot, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm just coming to grips with it, you know? Coming to grips with it.
For sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned that your son is one of the lights that you see, right? What are some of the others?
So I've done some substitute teach. I just pop in and do substitute teaching, and honestly, it's Black History Month. I'm an author I have a Black History children's book. It allows me to. It's a very, very easy way into a school. And so even teaching and being around kids and things like that, how a kid responds to me matters.
Yeah.
Because they will let me know if my insides are okay or not. And that is something that I have to pay attention to and be conscious of. So when I go onto this campus and these kids are Mr., and you're not even in my class, I'm just in the hallway, it lets me know that my presence is exuding what I'm trying to, even ACA, you know, like that, you know, it lets me know that the work I'm trying to do internally is pure. I would have to say, you know, the perspective that we talked about, my willingness to still be coachable. Like, I had to check my ego a few times with some of the situations that are happening in my life. And I had to stop and give myself grace and say, dude, at least you're willing to, like, say it, like, you know, admit and take accountable to some of this stuff. Yeah, you screwed up big time. Like, you know what I mean? But it feels a lot different now with, like, that extreme ownership. And nothing but good can come out of that. You know what I mean? Hopefully, right? But I don't have like a hobby or anything that I'm super into and things like that. And that's something that I'm you know, kind of looking into, sitting still and just like sitting in my thoughts and things like that. Those are things that I'm attempting, but those things get like 5-10 minutes of, you know what I mean? Like we can practice on, making it, because even when I'm laying down, it's like I have to consciously say stop, like try to turn it off, just like count your breaths, like dude, and I'm just laying there, you know. But it's 2:00 in the morning. I went to bed at 12, and I just can't, you know what I mean? So yeah, those are some hopeful
Yeah.
answers to your question.
That's good. Yeah, there's probably a lot more
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
aren't coming to mind, but
Yeah.
no, thanks for sharing
Of
that.
course.
So, you're a single father, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. You raise your son. He lives with you. Is
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
The feeling I'm getting is you take your role as a father very seriously.
To a fault, I think.
Why you say that?
I put a lot of pressure on myself, and one of my faults as a father is I project that on my son a lot. Trying not to control his outcome is something that it's very hard for me to do. He's so different than me too. He's so much softer and kinder and resilient when it comes to him still being nice, even though you're being like mean to him or jerk to him. He's not big into athletics. He's really, really smart. He builds like robots and he's into Legos. He's the opposite of me. And that's the scariest thing in the world. You know, his mom and I splitting, we actually got divorced. We're separated and kind of tried it again over the last couple of years. And we're literally splitting right now. I worry about what I've shown him as far as how to treat and what to accept from a partner. I worry that who I am as a person is so extreme that even me mild is too much for him. He acts out. He has a temper, and I know we're not our kids, but the things he does is what I've shown him. And when I see it and he's getting in trouble for it, I'm really just yelling at myself. I'm really just so pissed off that I can't control my stuff enough to cultivate the calm in him. You know, he has an anxiety level that I know that if I could bring mine down some, his would go down. He literally he's like a purse, he's like a wallet. You know, he's always on me. How I try to mitigate those things internally aren't always healthy. You know, how I try to be a better father isn't always healthy, but I'm always trying to be a better father, you know? And so it's just this chemistry project of, you know, what goes with what and what takes what to get this outcome. But when I say to a fault, like, yeah, I became a teacher so I could be in my kid's school. You know, I don't want his teacher telling me about it. Like, I'll look in the classroom. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? In this case, I think it may have been a bit much. It may not have allowed him to have the space to be him without me just over him all the time. You know, we left to go to Nicaragua when he was like 7 months. So from 7 months to almost 4 years old, he was outside of the country. And when he came back, that caused a delay in language and speech and all of that. And him getting held back and his frustration and his problems and all that, I feel like I didn't even consider that when I just decided to leave for Nicaragua because I needed to get away from my vices, right? Like, you know what I mean? And how I deal with the things that I could be better with as a father.
Yeah.
Say to a fault, it's sometimes very unhealthy.
At this point in the story, that kind of brings us to you becoming an author
Yes.
of children's books.
Yeah.
Which you've already told us came from songs that you were writing, right?
The talent to write, like the style in which I write, they're real nursery rhymes. So the entire book rhymes throughout. So it's telling a story with words that flow as if it was music. You can almost put a beat to. At the time, I wrote my first book in 2017. So I think at the time I was looking at like the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. Just my demographic is African Americans. Obviously, right?
Thanks for telling us.
No, because you know a lot of it's about representation. So my son is in almost all of the books, right? And so if this is my demographic, you do market research because you know I have an MBA and I want to do this. Like I want to try to be an entrepreneur in a logical way. And then I looked up how much African Americans spent on books per year. And was like, this isn't going to work. It was like $400 a year. What books are they buying? They definitely it was not children. You know what I mean? Like nobody was going to invest in what I had going based on the market research that I did. But that really wasn't all the way why. My first book was my ex-wife's life story, written into a nursery rhyme that made her a queen. So the goal with every book is for my son to look at the what you would call normal people in his life. His mother, there's one to my mother, my grandmother, Pastor Edmund, who I think saved my life after I came home with Iraq. He kept me in the church, kept me on the soundboard. I want him to look at those people as heroes. Like if my son ever came up to me and was like, "Hey, LeBron James is my hero," I want your head and LeBron James' head on my desk. Like, the guy who's here every day doing his best to be your hero is not your hero. Like, that was just something that I couldn't take, but at the same time, I couldn't just be like, I want to be your hero because I'm your dad. Like, no, you got to do something. You got to
earn it.
You got to earn it. And so, first book was called Queen Tina. That was his mom's life story. I wrote a bunch of music while I was in Iraq. I didn't really write too many books, or not in Iraq, while I was in Nicaragua. And then when I came back, it was just kind of like book after book after book. I tried to collaborate with my dad on some of the poems he had written and I'd listened to as a kid. And that just turned out to be a disaster. You know what I mean? But the books are really good. I just was trying to use my talent for my internal ecosystem. One book is called Hearts for Isaiah, and that's Glenn Ellis and Desiree Ellis. We went to high school together. Their son passed away when he was 4 of a heart defect. And so I wrote a book that made his heart defect his superpower. Mm-hmm. Right? And then we donated it to Hearts for Isaiah Foundation, where they get all the licensing and all of that stuff is just kind of theirs. And it's a great book. It's probably the best book I've ever written, to be completely honest. And it was just because my friend, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
He's a great basketball coach. He is a teacher. He is guiding young men to maturity in a way that I think only comes from a special perspective, and nobody know about it unless I told you. And I want to buy Jeff Combs, the godfather of my child, the guy that was in the truck with me and lost his arm. He talks about owning like a hot dog donut food truck. I don't know. When he was telling me, it was just like an excited person that, telling me, but the way he was excited about it, I think he deserves that. I would love to be a resource of him getting that one day, just because he deserves that. Like, he deserves to accomplish that if that's really what he wants. But he's, he literally said to me, when I call, he answers on the first ring. And I said, damn, dude, like, I literally call and you answer. He said, the only time I won't answer your call on the first ring is if I have something in my hand. Like, he only has one arm. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I hope that one day my writing does do something for the Hearts for Isaiah Foundation or for the Ellis family that is fruitful. I hope it does do something for Jeff. Like, I hope it does do something for my son and my ex-wife and all of the people that, I care about.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of what you're building is outwardly focused, which is the way it should be.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot through your life, you were having to focus internally just to survive. Who either demonstrated that, or where does that come from that you're wanting to do that for other people outwardly, kind of maybe even in some cases to your own detriment?
No, it's not a person I'm following. It's more of a feeling, and I feel like that's to my own detriment part. Why wouldn't I be down to try to go into an investor meeting and try to get a book off? Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't I face the fear of being in this water and being in this bottom? At some point, I got to think about myself. And that's again that rock bottom place, because it's like, hey, maybe if you did that a couple times throughout this whole thing, you might not be as bad off. If at some point you looked in the mirror and said, hey, do you really deserve all this? And like was honest about it. Maybe all the like pain and heartache and all of the really preventable things could have, obviously we should have, could have, would have, but like, you know what I mean? And so now as I move into almost being elderly, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta start caring about who's gonna walk around with you at the VA, man. You know what I mean? Like, cause that's gonna be me. The brittle bone, like, it comes with it. You know what I mean? And so realizing that you kind of don't have that, you kind of don't, like, what do you really? And so I think about that a lot, but it's not from a person. It's from I'm gonna sacrifice myself regardless. I might as well do something that my son can look back at and be like, yeah, that was my dad. Yep. Not like, yeah, that's my dad. He's a part of the 22 a day. You know what I mean? Like,
yep, for sure.
So how many books do you have?
13.
13 books you've written. All children's books?
Yeah, I mean, I think some adults can go through some of so it's kind of split. I'm talking to different types of kids, right? There's the kids so young that they need colors and things like that to pay attention.
Yeah.
And then there's, kind of 6th grade through high school that, I have a book called, Mastering Emotional Control, Understanding Finances. Plates of Power is a guide on eating, what's a calorie, what's a macro, how they work. Fitness for Growing Bodies is a guide to working out. And it's not for athletes. There's a ton of athletes that like have trainers and all that. This ain't for your D1 bound kid. This is for the obesity crisis that we have in our schools right now. And you don't have to go to the gym and be all embarrassed and be all stylish. Like, get off of your bed, take 10 feet of space and do this, and keep track of it in this book. You don't have to let it out. It's super digestible. It's like less than 100 pages. All of those books are. The money one, you can keep a budget and do tracking inside the book. And it's just like real world stuff, just stuff that I want my son to, stuff I wish I had.
Yeah.
I wish I had. And it's just Hansel and Gretel breadcrumbs for my son. And I figure if my son can use it, then a lot of kids can.
Some life skill stuff.
What platform are you using right now to sell?
They are on Amazon, but I try not to sell. Amazon takes so much of what I sell it for that it doesn't, if I was trying to become a famous author, that would be, but
Yeah, it's necessary.
it really is only necessary for people to vet me. Like I had this deal with a big, huge chain that last February we were supposed to do a Black History Month tour, like a 10-city tour, 2 schools a city. We give out X amount of books, and essentially what was going to happen was I front everything, the materials and the swag and all of that, but they almost said their name. They have their volunteers go, and it's photo ops, and we've collabed, and I get to launch. It literally would have changed everything, right? But they stopped doing DEI that year, and so
they put a Black History book in the category of DEI.
the whole event. They canceled the African American Business Council that was sponsoring the event.
Oh,
So the whole committee didn't even exist anymore. Like it was like done. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I still got $20K worth of books and material and swag in my garage. Right? And it was a huge thing. Like some of the books I'm giving away right now, they were misprints. We were working so fast. I'm so small. This was going to be
that was the break.
Yeah.
That was the break. And so I'm not lying inside the meeting, but like, yeah, I can do 4,000 books. Like,
Yeah,
I'm like,
well,
how the hell am I going to do 4,000 books?
Right.
Sometimes you just got to figure it out.
And I did it. I figured out with everything that I had. And then it was just like, yeah, we just, we're not, you guys saw it happen. Right. And so there's a lot of African-American vendors to this company that were still making money because they did this to me, and I had the opportunity to go on TikTok and say, well, I'm the little guy and this happened. I'm a veteran and Purple Heart recipient. I probably could have got to launch again, but that's just not how I want my work to be. Like my stuff because it's good, not because I got screwed over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was a choice I made that I can't say hindsight 2020, I would have did it different, but damn, you know what I mean? Like it was primed for the, I really don't know what's next with the selling. I don't want to sell my books though. I do not. What I am giving should be given away to the people who this is going to affect. I'm not saying they can't afford my book, but they shouldn't have to buy it. Mm-hmm. That's just how I feel until I can't anymore.
Got it. Okay. So at this point, what are you working towards? How do you support yourself? All that kind of stuff.
I think that's a part of that rock bottom piece, right? It seems like the last 6 shots I've taken, they haven't even been big misses. It's been like roll around the rim and like fall out type of situations, And I think my view on integrity and morals, I have to create a fine line between my business morals and my personal morals. I don't think they coexist, because my personal morals have me giving away a lot of business. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think getting firm on what needs to be paid for and what doesn't is probably one of the biggest priorities I have out. But what my next goal will be, I have a book in illustration right now. It's called the Kaiken Stimmy. My son, again, I told you, he does airplanes and science projects and robots. So I wrote a book where he wakes up and there's a robot in his room and they go on these fun adventures and stuff like that. Hopefully that's done before March, because March is National Engineering Month. And I don't know if I could like say organizations on my, but there's a engineering or a kids engineering organization that is humongous in the US that I would love to be like, hey, I got this book. And it's a Black engineering organization. Awesome. And so any engineering organization could, but yeah.
Yep.
Just going for odds. But that's kind of just the wait. Like once that comes out, I hope that I could shop the heck out of that.
Cool.
I own my own security firm. Fishing for contracts with that. But I just got my license in October. Starting business takes time.
Yeah, it does.
Needs in the pipeline, and so how I support myself is So I'm not above doing anything for work. I think that's another reason why being in the schools is so important, because these kids are like, oh, you're an author. Are you famous? Or do you have a bunch of money? And it's like, it's not automatic. Like winning is not loyal to anybody. Like you could really do your thing and have the best product and work your butt off and all of that, and winning will look you in the face and turn and go to somebody else who you can perceive as not even worthy of it, right? Yeah. Losing loves company, but winning, like, again, I think that rock bottom part too is because it's like, my form was perfect on this shot. Like that should have went in, you know what I mean? It's hard to see a bunch of misses and think, all right, this one's going to go in, when it's costing you almost everything you have, right? So I think it's, like I said, it's important to be in these schools and tell these kids, like, you can't be chasing the fame. Like you can't, if you're gonna live for the the cheers, you're gonna die when the boos come, and there'll be a lot more booing than cheering in most lives.
Right.
Don't know about. Yeah, I guess what's next is you wait for the book to come out, and if I see kids reading my book, I take pictures with them.
Yeah, for sure.
Us just we were just talking about my social media hasn't had a post in I think over a year. Maybe I should do a couple, I got a ton of content. It's just a one-man show that just exhausted, man.
Yeah.
Can.
So you mentioned you have a security company.
Yes.
What is that, like personal security for individuals, or what is that?
It's a bit of everything. So, I actually have a whole ecosystem. So I have Ivory Strong Corporation and I have the Ivory Strong Foundation. So the foundation's obviously the 501c3. The corporation has the publishing company. So all of my books are published through Ivory Strong Publishing and distributed through Ivory Strong Media. I have Ivory Strong Consulting, which I talk business with a lot of people, and my mistakes have given me a lot of knowledge. So anytime I get a chance to charge a consulting fee for really saving people a lot of time and heartache with someone, like, don't do that. And then there is Ivory Strong Apparel, which was created just because I needed a TPT number to get shirts and stuff wholesale for the foundation giveaways and all of that stuff. Then there's Ivory Strong Security, which is the job that I love. Doing security is my passion. If I could do that full time, it's you do not make any money if you are not the owner of your own firm. You're not. It's very, very hard because it's so watered down, and it's coming, there's so many middlemen and so many subcontracts and things like that. And so after working for a couple of the most prominent security companies in Arizona, I was just like, one, they treat us like crap, and I don't do that. No way. Not coming from some tech dude, what I'm like, no way. So I was like, I'll start my own, and I'll be a better boss to all of these guards and all of these veterans and all of that. You would be surprised. They don't want to be treated right. It's weird. But so I started my own because, I could do good or bad all by myself. You know what I mean? And so like I said, you got to kind of build that pipeline. And then I know I'm missing one. Oh, Ivory LLC. I have my ex-wife and I started a AI marketing firm. We started creating AI clones for influencers and stuff like that. We can create reels and real estate agents. We could put them inside houses and do AI displays of the house with furniture moving around and lights and stuff like that. So just dabbled in the AI marketing space. With the foundation, there's 5 pillars as well. There's youth education and arts, which are the books. There's youth sports. We've given away a little bit over $5,000 worth of youth scholarships. And then there's veterans recreational therapy. And that's the dream I have with that is when I was in Nicaragua, I feel like I'm talking a lot.
No, here's
You are the guest. It's all right.
When I was in Nicaragua, a buddy of mine had a boat and we went to the coast of Costa Rica and caught like 50 mahi-mahi. It was crazy. And by the time we got back, the crew had already like filleted them up. And then we went to his bar and we just had this fish mahi-mahi buffet of just however you can cook it, right?
That sounds good.
Whole time that I was there, I was like, damn, I wish Jeff was here. I wish Perez was here. I wish Maldonado could see this. Like I wish, you know what I mean? And so that is the end game of the Ivory Strong Foundation and the Veterans Recreational Therapy, to take a 4-day trip where we land, we do some, kind of yoga, mental health stuff the first day. We eat really good. We go to the fishing trip the next day. We eat really good, kind of celebrate, and then, go our, and then obviously there's follow up and stuff like that. But the goal is for them to experience what I experienced. It's like kind of like that freedom, man. It was so much was happening in the U.S. and it was peace. Like it was crazy. It was peace. And I just was like, every guy who can relate to me when it comes to the military experience should feel this. And then we did informed influence, which is essentially the safety side of the AI stuff that we were learning. As I'm learning AI and getting better at it, and you learn the dangers of it. And so a part of the nonprofit just wants to let parents know, kids know, like, hey, AI is really cool, but here's some stuff you should look out for, whether it's scams or it's, getting deep faked into a porn video, or a kid, calling themselves out of school with, your clone voice or whatever it is, just be aware. And so the goal was for my ecosystem to fund itself. Like the fuel should come from my gas station. So I essentially built the car and built the engine. And now you kind of got to find the fuel to get through the engine and make, hopefully it never stops. But I never wanted to, I'll take government grants and stuff like that. I want my platform to be a real resource for whoever needs whatever I have. And that's it. They should literally be able to walk up to the window and say, I am struggling with Black history, and, I'm white and I feel like they're just blaming me for, all of this stuff. Well, hey, here's a little children's book where it's super neutral. It's about representation. It's like I'm explaining it to a kid. Start here. And then come holler at me. Like if you have any questions or you still feel like that and stuff like that. That conversation is way different than what the heck we're hearing every day.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You know what I mean? And so, and we're never going to get anywhere with that. Like we're never going to get anywhere with you hurt me and I'm hurt now and you did this to my great-great-great-grandfather and then, I'm not my great-great-grandfather. You know what I mean? Like it's just such a different conversation. So
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, I have a question. I don't know if this will kind of tie a bow on a lot of the things that you've been talking about and the work that we do. But, we mentor high school kids who are trying to get through high school and pouring into them and trying to give them the most important messages of life. And you mentioned that you enjoy subbing partly because you can give these messages to students, right? So what are the 1 or 2 things that you just find to be most important that kids, high school kids primarily hear, that they understand, that they can take with them as they go through life?
I don't think it's something they hear at all. I think that they want to be heard. I think that in my experience, a lot of times from about 6th grade through high school, a lot of times it's like they don't care about what we think. Like I have all of this stuff in my head and it's just, it's not more important than what like what we have to do in class and things like that. And honestly, some of the most fruitful conversations come from those kids asking a bunch of questions and telling their experience. And it's almost like it's refreshing for them to be like you actually give a crap about what I'm saying. And I don't think that teachers don't. I don't think that that's the case, but you have to run a classroom. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there has to be consistent. It can't just be about that. And I think when you get this sub and it happens, and it's like, it gives you kind of like the water on the marathon run, right? Like, you're going to keep going, but you kind of need that water. And I'm really good at that. You know, I'm really good at seeing kids. I'm really good at feeling kids. You know, some kids, as soon as they see me, like literally run up and like they're holding my hand, and they can't. And it's like, okay, you need something, not need something, but they're like, I have something that you really want. Let's figure out what it is. So at least for the next hour, or however long I have you, I'm consciously trying to give that to you. And oftentimes it's not something that I tell them at all. Oftentimes me just being there is enough. Them knowing a little bit about me and who I am is oftentimes enough for them to be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna give this guy a try.
Yeah, that's very insightful.
Yeah.
So having a positive adult outlet.
I don't know if I'm always positive, because I'm a pretty. No, I'm stern.
But they perceive that as
it helps.
positivity and strength, and
I mean, my presence helps, right? Like, it's oftentimes they're like, hey, you look like LeBron, or you know, like stuff like so that helps break the ice. Right. And it's not that they're saying you're not intimidating. What they're saying is like, you're cool enough for me to take, like, even the kid that wants to be like, you know, the tough kid in the corner is kind of like, what's up? Like, who are you? You know what I mean? And I don't take that lightly. I don't take lightly that the kid who is about to drop out or is going through a tough time looks at me and says like kind of like, not birds of a feather, like, but like a wolf recognizes a wolf, kind of, you know what I mean? It's like
it's a trust.
Like I can tell a Marine out of any room. You know what I'm saying? It's not just because they're haircut. You get what I mean? And so I feel like a lot of times that happens, and that means a lot in those spaces.
yeah.
Like I think it's I don't want to call it underestimated, but it is not talked about enough how much that kind of connection is. No different than a spark in a relationship with a woman. It's the vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's super important with this kid. So
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, not sure if
Agreed.
that answered that.
No, that's a great answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Doc, we've certainly appreciated hearing your story. And, you know, I think what our listeners can take away from it is, you know, you've had these peaks and valleys throughout your life, and you could have given up. And there probably would be people out there that wouldn't blame you, right?
Okay. But
you keep showing up and putting in the work and fighting day in and day out. Even now, right? You're not sitting here saying I've made it and I've arrived. You're saying I'm at another low point and I'm going to fight my way out of it.
Yeah.
And I respect that. And I think a lot of our listeners will resonate with that, right? Because we all go through those peaks and valleys in life, and it's on us to keep hope alive and be grateful for that and learn from the failures and mistakes and those losses so that we can climb to the next peak that much faster and that much easier. So I really appreciated that about your story. And again, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Doc.
Chris. Thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.